Hello and welcome to this special here on CNBC TV 18, coming to you from the Auber Park Cafe at the heart of Park Street. What we are discussing today is a deeply emotive issue. But is there a deep disconnect between Kolkata and its youth? Has the city of joy lost its appeal amongst the young? To discuss this, we have an excellent panel here with us at the Auber Park Cafe. On my extreme right is Mr. Amritanshu Khaitan, Managing Director of Eveready. Next to him is Keshav, Bhajanka from the CenturyPly group. We have Mayank Jalan as well joining us, MD of Keventer. We have Shaswat Goenka of the RPG's Sandip Goenka group. And we have from the only banker on the panel, Mr. Sandip, President at Yes Bank. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us on this special. Let me start by asking you, Mayank, because there seems to be this deep irony. On one hand, Kolkata has some of the most storied educational institutions, whether it's the Presidency College, whether it's an IIM, even there is an IIT which is not too far away from Kolkata. Despite that, it seems that the city is not being able to retain its youth. There are anecdotal evidence of this massive brain drain. Is this brain drain justified? Are they really shrinking opportunities for the young?
Well, first of all, if you are in a city which creates disproportionate number of brilliant minds, you have to share it with the rest of the world.
Okay.
I think West Bengal historically has been a center for brilliant minds. Now, just to answer your question, you've got to look at the history of Bengal. Historically, the DNA of us people in Bengal, we are brought up with a huge amount of respect for knowledge, huge amount of culture, and huge amount of thirst for education. Post which you had more than 3 decades of a regime which kind of sent a message out that, look, business is not welcome.
That's right, yes.
From the corporate headquarters of the country, we had people packing their bags and going away.
That's right.
Today, we're trying to fight that perception that still lingers on, that whether Bengal is a good place to do business or it's not. I believe that we are changing. I believe that the brain drain which has happened, and it has happened, and probably is continuing to happen today, is going to be reversed in the coming few years.
Right. Great to start this discussion on an optimistic note. Shaswat, let me come to you now. Today, if there's a youth, all right, can she sort of fulfill her professional ambition living in Kolkata?
I think definitely yes. And taking off from where Mayank left, yes, there was a period when there was a brain drain and people were leaving, but I think over the last couple of years there has been a change and shift in that perception, exactly like Mayank was saying. And I think people are willing now to come back after their education to the state of Bengal and work here as well.
Are you seeing some of your own friends now coming back to you?
Yes.
Interacted with?
There are a lot of them who are actually moving back to the city. They're seeing a lot more opportunity. The government is very pro-industry. So I think overall there's a positive attitude towards the city and the state, and I think that's really helped.
Right. The reason why I asked that question was because in order to sort of fulfill your ambition, you also need the right kind of ecosystem. I mean, as an individual, you can only do as much. There are these set of intangibles, all right? So, Amritanshu, I mean, we need a good working culture, okay? We need the right attitude towards business. Can a sort of budding entrepreneur find those here in Kolkata?
You see, I think for a budding entrepreneur, you need all what you just said. But also, I think cost of living is something which is very important. A lot of talent, when they was trying to leave Bengal, they would get attracted by higher pay scales by companies, whether it's in Mumbai or New Delhi or Bangalore. But people would not realize that the cost of living also in these cities are very high. So from that point of view, I think Calcutta really scores that Calcutta is providing a lot of good infrastructure compared to a lot of the larger cities at a very low cost, and that creates the environment also for entrepreneurs really to start shop, because in the end for budding entrepreneurs cost of capital is high and the amount of capital available is also on the lower side.
Right.
So I think it's a great city really to try out new business opportunities.
So the cost of living overall in Kolkata is much lesser compared to some of the other metropolitan. So that's an advantage in that sense. Coming to you, Keshav, isn't this a bit bizarre? I mean, because Kolkata would be the third in terms of overall GDP. It's only next to Mumbai and New Delhi. But in terms of perception, Kolkata is very, very far behind. Kolkata is also a sort of a thriving place for trade. Do you think there's an incongruence between the aspirations of the youth and trade in which Bengal is, in Kolkata, is very strong? Do you think there's sort of a mismatch between the two?
You know, as Mayank had earlier mentioned, we are trying to fight a perception that has been created. For whatever reasons that perception exists, we are a manufacturing-led organization that has been present in Bengal over 3 decades. And since the year 1986, we haven't had a single day off because of any labor issues. Since then, we've had the lowest productivity out of all our units across. We have 9 units now across India and Southeast Asia. So overall, this negative perception that youth doesn't have opportunity here, I don't think it's very fair. Coming to small startup companies, there are tech companies such as Tax Mantra, there are companies such as Buy Hatke that have originated out of Calcutta and made it big in the recent past. So I think the state has ample opportunity, and you just need to explore hard enough.
So perception, what the sense I'm getting from all of you is that it's an issue of perception, and that will take some sort of time to turn around. Let me come to you, Sandip, then. You know, you're the banker on this panel. Give us a sense now. They're all saying that things are changing. Now, give us instances on the ground. Are you seeing sort of, you know, the risk appetite of firms going up? What's the sense like? What's the overall business environment like? What's the sense you're getting?
Before I come to that, I'll just take a step back in history to understand what happened. See, Calcutta was the hotspot. Everything used to happen in India in the 19th century till middle of 1960. I mean, everything used to happen here. So there's no comparison whether Calcutta was happening in Calcutta or happening elsewhere, only in Calcutta, nowhere else. Right. So when we compare and say that things have moved out, we are comparing from zero, rest is zero, 100% is in Calcutta, now 100% is going elsewhere. Later part of 1960 to 1970, middle of that, there was this movement. Right. Because of which a lot of exodus. Naxalite movement. People did move out of Calcutta. And after that, you have had 47 years of situation where the central government and the state government don't talk to each other. Right. Forget collaborating. And during those 47 years, there's a massive amount of investment in North India and West India by private sector and by the union government. Right. So, I mean, whom do you blame? I mean, or do you say it's going down with this perception? Now, this part was true till 1.5 years back, which I'll take from them. After that, there actually has been a thing called Parivartan, which is what Mamata Banerjee's slogan was. That's right. Twofold. One is figurative. She moved away from writers' building to a place called Navanna. And on the ground, you will see 2013-14 figure of our country's GDP growth was 4.7%. West Bengal was 8.62%, of which industry was 0.4 of India. Ours was 8.72. Right. So how would you say that they're going behind? But many can also argue that it's on a low base effect. Correct. That's what I'm saying. The changes happened last 1.5 years to 2 years. So there's considerable hope of things falling in place. Right. And we can add to this, or I'll just, a lot of changes happening on the ground, preparing for the takeoff in terms of administrative change and legislation also across departments. And we can't be impatient. All of that is going to take time. 34 years and 2-3 years. Fair enough. Shaswat, let me come to you, because important points being made. Obviously, there was, of course, a lot of discrimination happening at the center, which has also led to the situation. But even in Bengal, there was an anti-business mindset that has sort of existed for so long. The government's attitude towards businesses has varied from ambivalence at best to outright hostility at worst. That is now changing, right? And in what ways? Which are some of the specific areas that you're seeing some of these changes in terms of clearances, in terms of the ease of doing business? In fact, just a short while ago, the report of the World Bank has come out, and Bengal is 11th position, not bad at all, ahead of states like Tamil Nadu, Gujarat, Tamil Nadu and Haryana. But give us some specifics in areas where you're seeing this ease of doing business kicking in.
Right. So like I said, based on the latest report, the ease of doing business, we are ranked 11 in the country, which is actually pretty high up if you look at it from the last 20-30 years of our history. Right. And I think in specific instances, say given that I look after Spencer's, is specifically for their getting clearances right in terms of occupancy certificates, in terms of operating the stores, getting the fire clearances, getting the liquor licenses for the different stores, etc. I think everything is moving at a much faster pace, and we're getting everything as and when we're expected to get them. There is no delay from the side of the government.
You're about 2 years old now in this business, okay, since you've taken a bit, but have you heard from your father or something in terms of how long it would traditionally take in the past, and how much has that? I mean, even of a ballpark sort of an estimate to get a better understanding for our viewers.
I mean, maybe my perception of how business was done before is exactly the perception that everyone here has, either by experience or by hearing other people, which is essentially that things would never get done, or would take things that would need days would take months, and things that would need months would take years. And I think now that's changing. It's literally everything happens in a matter of days, if not weeks.
Right, fabulous. Amritanshu, let me come to you now. Let's talk a little bit about student politics, because you cannot talk about Bengal without touching about student politics. I mean, I don't know how much of it is perception, how much of it is reality. You guys will have to tell me that. But the youth rightly crib about not having enough opportunities. That's why that's why there's a brain drain. But do you think somewhere, given the sort of political environment we see in educational institutions in Kolkata, the youth also need to take a certain amount of responsibility for the condition of the state?
You know, the politics which you're talking about has primarily been there in only one of the institutions. But if you look at other organizations, whether it's IIM, Calcutta, or St. Xavier's as a college and one of the most prestigious colleges in India, the word politics or unionism or these things don't even come up. Student culture, if you look at it from a broader horizon in Calcutta, is anywhere different to a Bombay or a Bangalore or any other city.
But what do you guys think about student politics in general? I mean, Keshav, come in on that. Like, what do you think? I mean, what are your views on student politics? Can that have a corrosive sort of an impact on teaching?
You see, student politics originated as a means to breed leaders. And we've seen great examples over the course of this country's illustrious history of leaders who come out of it. People like Atal Bihari Vajpayee and so on and so forth, in numerous names. But over the course of time, I think it's become more of a tool to promote one's own self-interest. And by virtue of the same, it has become a negative influence on the education that sort of founds it.
Right.
So that corrosive effect really needs to be negated. And I think over the course of time, this correction will take place.
On that note, we'll slip into a short break. On the other side, we'll talk about the startup culture in Kolkata. Stay tuned.